Welcome back to As Promised. I know the last season I promised that this season was going to be conversations with friends that I admire and really respect, but that actually takes a lot of admin. Trying to find the friends that I love and what's the word, pin them down for a conversation is a lot more difficult than I assumed because everyone's got very full lives, which is absolutely fine. But because this podcast is also about books, because I'm a massive neek when it comes to reading, I thought this season would be about one of my favorite books that I read, I think, 3-ish years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I read this book and it really ignited and stimulated me and allowed me to start to look at things from different perspectives and also acknowledge that the growth journey almost doesn't have a destination. The work is to continue learning, continue growing, continue expanding. And that is why this needs to be, shared. Knowledge is pointless. Knowledge is useless unless shared. So I thought I will share my favorite book in sections in order to create a space for conversation, exploration, all of the shuns, and build a community in which we can expand and explore and challenge each other from the safety of our homes. Because I don't know about you guys, but me, sometimes I'm like, I really love social connection. I know I need it to survive, but I don't want to be seeing anybody's faces, which is almost contradictory, counterintuitive to the whole purpose of that which is social connection. But we now watch that, yeah? We power on. So, first of all, thank you for listening. Welcome. I want to say I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I know I'm going to enjoy making it. And please buy the book. Let's engage. Let's read together. Let's expand together. And if you need any support in buying the book, let me know. And I'll also see what I can do. Because during lockdown times, 4 years ago, imagine that, 4 years ago, I was in a position to be able to buy books for people. So I'm really hoping to do that again. So if you need it, let me know. Doesn't mean I have the money. It just means I want to. So let's keep going. I just did this whole section and I thought I was recording and I wasn't recording at all. Disaster. So, your brain contains roughly 100 billion nerve cells forming anywhere from a trillion to perhaps even a quadrillion connections called synapses. These connections are in constant dynamic state of remodeling in response to the world around you. Your brain not only interprets the world, it creates it. Everything you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell would have none of these qualities without the brain. If your world is unique and customized for you and you alone, who is behind such remarkable creativity, you or the brain itself? I think questions like that are really they're really expansive because we start to acknowledge that life is about creativity. It's something, if you've listened to the other episodes of this, random podcast, I have definitely said art, creativity, art, life, everything is what has kept us alive as humans, right? This question, if your world is unique and customized for you and you alone, who is behind such remarkable creativity? You or the brain itself? I think we like to hand over responsibility in regards to how we live, what it is that we want, and what it is that we desire, partially because we are overstimulated with images of what it means to be successful or what it means to have some form of separation, elevation from other people. And um, in order to do that, we kind of have to give fate or destiny or things that are out of our necessary control more weight than what is within. These are all just my opinions. I don't actually know, right? But this is the reason I love this book. Is it makes me think different. Okay, so The question again: if your world is unique and customized for you and you alone, who is behind such remarkable creativity, you or the brain itself? If the answer is you, then the door to greater creativity is flung open, which is, of course, what we want. We want greater creativity. Fling that door open, please. If the answer is your brain, then there may be drastic physical limitations on what you are able to achieve. So already we're identifying that the brain is independent of you, of self, of you. Maybe your genes are holding you back, or toxic memories, or low self esteem. Maybe you fall short because of limited expectations that have contracted your awareness, even though you don't see it happening. Limited expectations is a funny word, or funny two words, because I wonder, is that talking about expectation of self or expectation of others? Because it's easy to expect things from others, I believe. We expect people to show up for us. We expect people to do this, do that. We expect, but do we hold ourselves to those same expectations? Do we expect to be self regulating? Do we expect to be self sufficient? Do we expect to desire greater knowledge, or to want to explore and grow, expecting growth of self? If we limit that, we contract our awareness. And the thing is, you don't see it happening, even though you don't see it happening. I remember this quote, something: the days are long, but the years are short. And even this year, 2024, we're pushing through like we got somewhere to go at the end. And I'm like, what happens when you aren't aware, when you don't see that which you're doing to yourself by not learning? You get to a certain age in adulthood where you're just like, oh, I know everything. We don't know anything. I know I don't know anything anyway, so that's why we have to read the books, because the books are the ones that know stuff. New breakthroughs emerge every month, but in the midst of such exciting advances, what about the individual, the person who depends on the brain for everything? Is this the golden age for your brain? We detect an enormous gap between brilliant research and everyday reality. Each person typically uses only 10% of their brain. Speaking literally, that's not true. In a healthy adult, the brain's neural networks operate at full capacity all the time. Even the most sophisticated brain scans available will show no detectable difference between Shakespeare's writing no damn. Even the most sophisticated brain scans available would show no detectable difference between Shakespeare writing a soliloquy from Hamlet and an aspiring poet writing his first sonnet. Wow. So there is no difference, nothing else. So when Shakespeare sat down and wrote Hamlet, Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra, Titus Andronicus, some of what is hailed and heralded as the greatest writing, even though there are now rumors saying that Shakespeare bit it from a black woman, but still, there is no difference between, let's say, a black woman actually writing a sonnet and what was going off in Shakespeare's brain when he was writing those words. Love that. Because why not you? Why not? To create a golden age for your brain, you need to use the gift that nature has given you in a new way. It's not the number of neurons or some magic inside your grey matter that makes life more vital, inspiring, and successful. Genes play their part, but your genes, like the rest of the brain, are also dynamic. Every day you step into the invisible firestorm of electrical and chemical activity that is the brain's environment. You act as leader, inventor, teacher, and user of the brain all at once. Every day you step into the invisible firestorm of life, basically. You're all of these things: leader, inventor, teacher, and user of the brain. As leader, you hand out the day's orders to your brain. As inventor, you create new pathways and connections inside your brain that didn't exist yesterday. As teacher, you train your brain to learn new skills. As user, you're responsible for keeping your brain in good working order. In these four roles lies the whole difference between the everyday brain and, let's dub it, the baseline brain. and what we are calling SuperBrain. The difference is immense. Even though you have not related to the brain by thinking, what order shall I give today? Or what new pathways do I want to create? That's precisely what you are doing. The customized world that you live in needs a creator. The creator isn't your brain, it's you. SuperBrain stands for a fully aware creator using the brain to maximum advantage. Obviously, it always goes back to art. How could it not go back to art? Art, creativity, alignment, breath, story. It's all in tandem. It's all in conjunction with each other. To create art, to be an artist, is to be alive in alignment, I guess, and using your brain and not allowing it to use you. I mean, you guys got to run with me here, but I like that. I like that. Creativity is a living, breathing. Oh, I haven't got to that part yet. Sorry, I'm jumping. So your brain is endlessly adaptable, and you could be performing your fourfold role: leader, inventor, teacher, and user with far more fulfilling results than you now achieve. Your orders, as a leader, your orders are received by a living organism that changes every time you send an instruction. If you think I want the same bacon and eggs I had yesterday, your brain doesn't change at all. If instead you think, what will I eat for breakfast today? I want something new. Suddenly you are tapping into a reservoir of creativity. Creativity is a living, breathing, ever inspiration, ever new inspiration that no computer can match. The brain has the miraculous ability to give more the more you ask of it. I love that, or I'm excited by that. Like the living organism of your brain. I feel like a lot of things we don't take for granted. A lot of things we don't engage with urgency, but we do take them for granted because we're so used to them being available to us. We become content with that which they are. So air, just breathing, we take it for granted. So we breathe shallow. We don't breathe deeply, which our bodies and our lungs and all of this stuff that we continue on day to day. Let me just breathe. Now that I've said that, I'm gonna start instilling breath breaks. Breath, time, our brains, our organs, because we don't see them. We take them for granted, or we don't acknowledge them with the urgency that we need to. If the brain is a living organism, like a plant, you have to feed it, you have to water it. It depends on how big the plant is. I mean, like my cheese plant is huge. You have to train it. If the brain is like a muscle, you have to train it, you have to feed it, you have to, sometimes put it through like real work in order for it to expand and grow. I just feel like we're probably we're reluctant to learn more because we've gone through this education system that wasn't really about learning, but more about passing exams, which gets really old really fast. And nobody wants to just pass exams, you know? So the next couple of sections go through the different parts of the brain: leader, user, inventor, teacher. I tried to remember that off by heart. This is the inventor section. Inventor, your brain is constantly evolving. This happens individually, which is unique to the brain and one of its deepest mysteries. The heart and liver that you were born with will essentially be the same organs when you die, not the brain. It is capable of evolving and improving throughout your lifetime. So what I was saying in the last section about maybe we're being afraid, we're tentative to learn because of going through the education system. But literally the brain wants to learn. The brain wants to expand, get bigger, wider, massive R, badder. um, Invent new things for it to do, and you become the source of new skills. A striking theory that goes under the slogan 10,000 hours, the notion being that you can acquire any expert skill if you apply yourself for that length of time, even skills like painting and music that were once assigned only to the talented. If you ever seen Cirque du Soleil, you might have assumed that those astonishing acrobats came from the circus families of foreign troops. In fact, every act in Cirque du Soleil, with a few exceptions, is taught to ordinary people who come to a special school in Montreal. At one level, your life is a series of skills, beginning with walking, talking, and reading. The mistake we make is to limit these skills. Yet the same sense of balance that allowed you to toddle, walk, run, and ride a bicycle, given 10,000 hours or less, can allow you to cross a tightrope strung between two skyscrapers. You are asking very little of your brain when you stop asking it to perform new skills every day. Stop asking little of your brain. We all have to stop asking little of our brain. We need to, in order for growth, in order for expansion, we absolutely need to hold our own brains accountable to the capacity in which they can expand by giving it new and exciting and challenging things to do every day. Every day. That might sound a lot, like that might sound daunting, like what am I supposed to do every day? But learning a new skill, I've got this sign language app on my phone which I started learning. I was getting really good, and then I kind of fell off. So I need to get back on that. So that would be something that I'm going to return to. Okay, next section, teacher. Obviously, in the book, there's so much more that you can explore and read. This is why I recommend you buy it. But these are just like little sections from little parts of the book that have resonated with me that I wanted to share with you in the hopes, just in the hopes, that you also engage with reading or finding out about neuroscience or brains or what we are capable of doing as artists, as storytellers, as creators, as just really, really incredible, magical human beings, which I think we are. So, next section, teacher. Knowledge is not rooted in facts, it is rooted in curiosity. I love this. Knowledge is not rooted in facts, it is rooted in curiosity. One inspired teacher can alter a student for life by instilling curiosity. You are in the same position towards your brain, but with one big difference. You are both student and teacher. Studer. Instilling curiosity is your responsibility, and when it comes, you are also the one who will feel inspired. I love this. This is amazing. Okay. No brain was ever inspired, but when you are, you trigger a cascade of reactions that light up the brain, while the incurious brain is basically asleep. It may also be crumbling. There is evidence that we may prevent symptoms of senile, oh gosh, senility. Senility. It's about being senile, I know, and brain aging by remaining socially engaged and intellectually curious during our entire lifetime. Okay, so you can prevent symptoms of being senile and your brain aging by being socially engaged and intellectually curious during our lifetime. This is why I said social engagement is important, but sometimes I don't want to see people's faces. Oh, I'm human, forgive me. Like a good teacher, you must monitor errors, encourage strengths, notice when the pupil is ready for new challenges, and so on. Like a bright pupil, you must remain open to the things you don't know, being receptive rather than closed minded. This is always where I'm like, I love discourse. I love being challenged. I just don't like being emotionally manipulated, which I find a lot of people try to do when they don't get their way the first time. Like I love being like I love debate. I love conversation. I love, you know, learning different ways. But when people start to engage with the emotional part of victimhood or I'm like, oh no, we're not talking about facts. Now we're talking about feelings. Um, which actually does just make me shut off and shut down, to be honest. Which is something I should probably explore, right? If I just shut down my brain, it might be a trigger response. So, just like that, we've learned another thing. Next section, user, the user of the brain. There's no owner's manual for the brain, but it needs nourishment, repair, and proper management all the same. Certain nutrients are physical. Today, a fad for brain foods send people running for certain vitamins and enzymes, but the proper nourishment for the brain is mental as well as physical. Alcohol and tobacco are toxic and expose your brain, and to expose your brain to them is to misuse it. Anger and fear, stress and depression are also a kind of misuse. As we write a new study that has, oh gosh, as we write, a new study has shown that routine daily stress shuts out the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain responsible for decision making. Sorry, English. Correcting errors and assessing situations. This is why people go crazy in traffic snarls. It's a routine stress, yet the rage, frustration, and helplessness that some drivers feel indicates that the prefrontal cortex has stopped overriding the primal impulses it is responsible for controlling. Time and again, we find ourselves coming back to the same thing. Use your brain. Don't let your brain use you. Use your brain. Don't let your brain use you. Road rage is an example of your brain using you, but so are toxic memories, the wounds of old traumas, bad habits you can't break, and most tragically, out of control addictions. This is a vastly important area to be aware of. Oh, shots fired. I feel like, there's a certain amount of self soothing that comes with vices. I also am aware that a lot of the vices, I don't, maybe it's because I don't have knowledge around other professions, which I'm sure there is, um, addiction abuse, or different abuse of certain vices. I think that's a better way of saying it. But I definitely know in artistic culture that is sometimes also parallel with the art. But I feel like with more and more, especially around rap music, which I really, really love, there is acknowledgement that those kind of behaviors actually stunt the art. They create a contracted, bounded art. And art is about transcendence. It's about immortalization, I think. So, in order to engage with vices that might potentially, well, no, they do harm you in the long run, I guess acknowledges that the art can be, or your specific art, if you engage with those things, can be bound or should be bound. I don't know. I might be chatting shit, but allowing your brain to use you, I think, acknowledges that it is an independent part of you that you have to care for independently as well, which kind of goes into the podcast episode I made about mind, body, and soul. I actually also, by the way, never go back and listen to any of them myself, apart from my spiritualism one, my spiritual practice one. So I don't actually know any of the stuff I said. I just hope it's beneficial. But yeah, honoring, respecting, seeing your brain as an independent organism, an independent part of you, I hope will ignite the desire to therefore not only have expectations on your brain, like what we said in the last section, but acknowledge that you are not your brain. And therefore, if you acknowledge that you are not your brain, you can stop, but you can interject when you see your brain using you, falling into anger, falling into fear, falling into depression, or those things that the brain, addictions that the brain latch onto. Because I think what happens is, when you exist in a place for a long period of time, even if it's suffering, you become familiar with it. And what we do as creatures of habit is that we become familiar with certain things, and we feel safe there, even though they might be causing us harm. We feel safe in those places because we're familiar with them. I know what this feeling is, therefore I know I can be here, but suffering or like toxic memories, being in those spaces of pain only breeds more opportunity. You're only creating fertile ground for more pain. You're only creating fertile ground for that which you are experiencing to manifest more of. I think that's what it means by using your brain and not allowing your brain to use you. So, even though your brain does not come with an owner's manual, you can use it to follow a path of growth, achievement, personal satisfaction, and new skills. Without realizing it, you are capable of making a quantum leap in how you use your brain. Our final destination is the enlightened brain, which goes beyond the four roles you play. It is a rare kind of relationship in which you serve as the observer, the silent witness to everything that the brain does. Here lies transcendence. When you are able to be the silent witness, the brain's activity doesn't enmesh you. Abiding in complete peace and silent awareness, you find the truth about the eternal questions concerning God, the soul, and life after death. The reason we believe that this aspect of life is real is that when the mind wants to transcend, the brain is ready to follow. So, yeah, I think what strikes me the most about this little section that we've kind of looked over and tried to explore, and one thing I'm definitely going to keep exploring, is that the brain is a living organism which is independent of self and not in control of that which I do or that which I experience. So therefore, I guess in some ways, being in conversation, being aware, being acknowledging that, oh, maybe that thought doesn't serve me. Oh, I wonder where that started from, or where this feeling started from, and having an awareness around creating a brain gym. Need to give my brain food, exercise, stimulation. I need to challenge it. I need to be excited by it. I need it to excite me as well. New ideas, new creativity, new experiences, away from that which is projected onto us. I feel like sometimes the desires of wealth, financial freedom, materialistic things definitely overcome my brain and me. And I go in this rat race type of journey of going, I need this, I need that, I need this. But like it says on like it says on page, what page does it say it? Or was it something I read further on? It might have been one of the stuff I read later on in this. I'm on a different chapter in the book, and it said something about um anyway, we're gonna get there eventually, right? It said something about like uh imprisoning your brain. But anyway, I'm rambling. I hope you found this useful. I hope you buy the book. I hope you also want to expand and you love neuroscience. If not, oh well, I love neuroscience. And I love reading and I love discourse. So yeah. It's and also I mean it's important to acknowledge that it's actual work. It's a job going on a journey trying to expand your brain, educating yourself and garner more knowledge. Sometimes it's easier to live life in this idea that ignorance is bliss. But in some way, shape, or form, life will engage with you in a way that you might not be able to be ignorant. So, wouldn't it be better to have tools to be prepared mentally, to be mentally fit enough to experience anything that comes your way and also maintain a sense of peace? That is my offering. Being able to maintain a sense of peace in everything that we do. But as I always said, this does not mean anyone should ever take you for idiot. I do not believe in that at all. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great week. And we go again. SuperBrain by Deepak Chopra and Rudolph E. Tanzi, who is a professor of neurology at Harvard Medical School, just in case you think I'm chatting shit.